In today's video, we will be discussing the manner in which shot-to-shot edits are created, as well as the relationships between these shots. Not only do editing decisions create a cohesive and natural flow to a film, it can also build the film's overall form. The most common joint is the cut. A cut provides an instant change from one shot to another. A fade-out gradually darkens the end of a shot to black. And the fade-in lightens a shot from black. A dissolve briefly superimposes the end of shot A and the beginning of shot B. In a wipe, shot B replaces the end of shot A. Editing offers the filmmaker 4 basic areas of choice and control. These 4 basic areas will be covered in this video. The purpose of graphic editing is to manipulate space and time to achieve a correct scene. When you put 2 shots together, any 2 shots, it creates interaction between the pictorial qualities of the 2 shots. This implicates simpleness and power. Pictorial qualities are visual elements or characteristics in the scene. Pictorial qualities influence the graphic elements. Graphic editing can be smooth continuity. But also abrupt contrast. Characteristics can be contrast like light and dark, line and shape, volumes and depth, movement and stasis. Editing doesn't need to be graphically continuous. This continuity can be accidental, but sometimes also on purpose. When shots are joined by similarities, it is called a graphic match. Similarities can be shapes, colors, and movement of the camera. A purpose of a graphic match could be to get the attention of the audience. Camera framing can also influence the character's point of view. The narration can now be subjective. For example, you see a shot of a person looking and cut to a shot of what the person sees. POV shot is very optical, especially when the editing is continuity. Eyeline match is point of view cutting.
A shot can be as short as a single frame, but it can also be thousands of frames. We don't usually count frames while watching a movie, but we do feel shifting tempo created by changing the shot's durations. Long shots slow the rhythm, and short ones accelerate it. The patterning of a shot's length creates a film's rhythm. A filmmaker can also use shot duration to stress a single moment. For example, with the flash frame. Cutting a few frames of pure whites will create a sudden flash, creating a violent impact. With rhythmic editing, a filmmaker can control the amount of time we, as a viewer, have to reflect on what we see. Instead of joining shot 1 and 2 to present a story, you could also join them on the basis of their rhythmic qualities, independent of the time and space they represent. Like in this scene of the movie Whiplash, where the editing in the scene follows the rhythm of the music. Rhythmic editing is both used in narrative and non-narrative, silent and sound films. When shot A presents someone looking at something off-screen, and shot B shows what is being looked at, we're speaking of an eyeline match. In neither shot are both the looker and object present. Often, after the establishment of a scene, there will be a breakdown. After that breakdown, there will be a re-establishing shot. We are being brought back to the overall space that was analyzed before. Thanks to the shot, reverse shot, and eyeline match, viewers understand characters' locations even when they aren't in the same frame.
When editing, it's important to learn the way you can also construct film space. Spatial manipulation is fairly common. When looking back to Lev Kuleshov's work, who is also known as a master of silent cinema, he claimed that editing made viewers assume that the actor's expression changed, so that the cutting actually did the performance. Film historians call this tactic the Kuleshov effect. When looking at what type of shots portray spatial relations, it could be an establishing shot. For example, in Stanley Kubrick's film The Shining, the opening scene is a memorable establishing shot, as the camera glides over forest and mountains before revealing the mountaintop hotel where the film's action takes place. Another example is the shot reverse shot, which usually portrays an interaction between two characters by switching back and forth between shots of each. Spatial continuity is a manner of editing where one ensures that the space stays consistent. An example of accomplishing this is the 180-degree system. The filmmaker builds the scene space around what is called the axis of action, the center line, or the 180-degree line. The axis of action is where the action occurs. This axis determines a half circle, or 180-degree area, where the camera can be placed to present the action. The 180-degree system ensures that the relative positions in the frame remain consistent. The person on the left is always on the left, and the person on the right is always on the right. Most continuity-based filmmakers prefer not to cross the axis of action. They would rather move the axis around the setting and create a new axis. However, some filmmakers like to switch it up and create discontinuity in their spatial construct. They can do this by ignoring the 180-degree system. These filmmakers work as if the action were not a line, but a point at the center of a circle, and as if the camera could be placed at any point on the circumference. An example of spatial discontinuity in a movie by ignoring the 180-degree system is The Dark Knight. Christopher Nolan occasionally breaks the 180-degree rule during action sequences to intensify the disorientation of chaotic events, particularly in scenes involving the Joker's attacks or car chases. Another way a filmmaker can create discontinuity spatially is by cross-cutting. Cross-cutting introduces discontinuity by shuttling us from place to place. Editing can create omniscience, the awareness of events happening in different places at the same time. To show this awareness, one implements the strategy of cross-cutting. In The Silence of the Lambs, director Jonathan Demme uses the cross-cut to build suspense, but also to misdirect the audience. This technique of cross-cutting was first developed by D.W. Griffith.
Temporal relations. Temporal relations between shots refer to the way shots are organized in relation to time within a film sequence. There are three main concepts: order, frequency, and duration. Order. In continuity editing, the order is usually chronological, like 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the most common narrative structure, where scenes are arranged in the sequence in which they occur in the story's timeline. However, when one violates the chronological order with techniques like a flashback or flash forward, you build suspense. Take, for example, Christopher Nolan's Memento, where the entire film is presented backwards, forcing viewers to piece together the story just as the protagonist does. Duration. Often, when something happens on screen, it will take the same amount of time in real life. For example, a dialogue in a film takes about the same time as a dialogue in real life.
Stores several hundred meters of the lightweight cable.
Another method to show the passing of time is a montage. With a montage, the filmmaker takes snippets of happenings during the time he wants to show. In the case of Spider-Man, the filmmaker shows the events of an entire evening in a short amount of time. Frequency. To prolong a sequence, a filmmaker can choose to repeat their shots. A famous example are shots of explosions. By capturing the same explosion from different camera angles and skillfully editing the footage, the explosion can be extended from a brief moment to a full minute. This technique can also be used in other situations. By repeating an action, its significance is heightened. Temporal discontinuity in film editing refers to the intentional disruption of the chronological flow of time within a narrative. This can be used to imply a passage of time, suggest a character's thoughts or feelings, or create a sense of mystery or intrigue.
We hope by mentioning these different techniques, you now know more about the relation of shot-to-shot editing. Due to the rapid change in technology, editing possibilities keep increasing. Therefore, there will be even more various ways to not only edit shots together, but also to copy and paste elements from different shots into another shot, creating more room for imagination and possibilities when it comes to the narrative.